Good morning. It is February 3rd, 2024. This is episode 66 of the Paul Green Comedy PaulCast, and this is yet another travel edition. I am road tripping as we speak, so obviously I will not be sharing my camera for safety purposes, as I am currently zooming down the Interstate 8 freeway en route to Yuma. Well, I will be making a quick pit stop after my private gig in San Diego, California last night, which, by the way, was so much fun. And if you follow the podcast regularly, you know that I had all kinds of apprehension regarding that private gig, because you just never know. You never know how they're going to go when it is such a unique scenario. So last night was a private birthday party for this husband and wife, again in San Diego. And they found me through a mutual friend who's also a comic. And he was actually the one who was initially referred. So the wife of the husband whose birthday was wanted just to throw a fancy birthday party for her husband and started reaching out to find some entertainment. And so anyway, she got my buddy's contact information first. I don't actually know where she got it from, but my buddy wasn't quite filling the gig. So he reached out to me and asked if I would want to do it, and I was more than happy to oblige. So yeah, I had connected with her and pinned down the details and the payment and the contracts and the invoice and the blah, 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 blah. And so anyway, I drove out last night to Yuma, where I make a pit stop, and then drove the rest away to San Diego and showed up to the house tonight. And it was just this very beautiful, modern home in San Diego. They are obviously doing very well for themselves and had this really fancy party at their very nice home, and I got to be the entertainment. And so they literally just set up chairs in their living room. It was a bigger living room space. And yeah, it was super fun. There's about 30 people. It was almost all couples. There was one single dude there, but everyone else was coupled up. And I got to say, they were just beautiful people, man. Just very beautiful. You could tell that they were all, well off financially and just all having a good time. And they were incredibly sweet, very gracious. They were so kind and excited to have me there. So I showed up. I actually had my keyboard with me because my little specialty is singing improvised songs about people. And I thought, well, this would be a fun opportunity for me to improvise a song about the birthday boy to make the show unique. So I get there, I get set up, and then she has me hide out in their office. So they had this, their little home office or whatever. And even when I'm in the home office, I'm just looking around, and, it's just really nice computers. It's very clean. And I'm just kind of snooping around at the paperwork on the desk. I'm not touching anything. It's just what was literally like right in front of me. And there was some sort of leasing invoice that was something like $60,000 a month. And then there was another section that had something like $200,000 of capital expenditures. So I'm like, all right, somebody in this house is involved. It sounds like commercial real estate, and is pinning down a pretty lucrative real estate deal, because I'm seeing upwards of about $260,000 just on this invoice that's just right there on the table. So I start making a note of all of that stuff, because that's kind of what I do. Is in these situations, I try to make my performance as personalized as possible, and to riff and improvise with the audience that is there and the circumstance and the situation as much as possible, instead of just walking up and just starting to just go through my monologue, my routine. So I see that. I see that there was a handful of degrees and diplomas on the wall, and I'm just going, okay, these people have obviously done very well for themselves, and that is great. And that'll also be fun to riff on. And I'm seeing, this invoice. So anyway, so I'm in the office, and then I hear the wife or whatever, really, really sweet woman, and she starts like getting everybody psyched about the comedian, and does a great job setting me up for success, getting everybody excited. They were already having so much fun. I mean, it was a party, and before me, they were out back, and I guess they had hired a personal chef to cater dinner. So, they'd been drinking wine and doing Jell-O shots and eating fancy food, and now they're all in the living room and ready for this comedy show. And so she gives me my intro and says, please welcome Paul Green. They start cheering. I come out of the office, and I just start riffing on everything. Just start riffing on, how nice the house is, and how these people are way out of my league, and how, this is the type of party that I normally wouldn't get invited to. So this is great. And, that sort of stuff. And then I start riffing with the audience and talking with some of the audience. And there's, again, it's like 30 people in a living room, but it actually felt like a comedy show. I mean, I don't know. She did a really great job. And I had talked to her before and just said, hey, the way to set this up to have the highest probability of success is to make sure that it's set up this certain way. And she did everything that I had asked, and it was super fun. So I start meeting some of the audience members, doing a little bit of crowd work while I'm riffing and just really going off the cuff. I didn't really do any material. I didn't do any of my jokes. I can think of one joke that I did that I sort of incorporated into some of the riffing that I was doing. And then one of the guys there, he was actually the only single person there. Everybody else was married. And so I do some crowd work with him, and he was a real fun guy and really interesting, and was like a computer programmer. And he was single, and then I talked to him about being single and what is he looking for in a woman and all of that stuff. And again, I had my keyboard there, so after interviewing him, hopped over to my keyboard, and then I improvised sort of this R&B song about this gentleman getting a girlfriend. And it was this sort of sexy thing, and I'm throwing in all of these puns and lyrics about what he had just told me about his life and what he's up to. So I did that. That was super fun. And then I really dove into the guest of honor, the husband whose birthday it was, and talked to him and his wife for a while, and got their story about how they met. And and it's pretty chaotic. The audience was very energetic. I'm just ripping jokes off it's all impromptu. It's a little more kind of roast style, but playfully. I wasn't going for the jugular at all, and just having a lot of fun with them, and they were having fun, and it was pretty high energy, really fun, really lighthearted, and yeah, I just rolled with it. And learned not their whole story, but learned a lot more about how they met and what their actual jobs were, and about their first date and all of that. And then my big finale was I went back to the keyboard, and I asked the wife what sort of genre of music she wanted the finale to be. And a handful of people yelled out rap, which I was actually almost ready to take rap, because a lot of people say that and they don't think I can do it, but I can do it. I can free flow rap. But I wanted the genre to come from Marie, and Marie's, sorry, I just said her name. I was going to try to not say her name, from the wife. And she said she likes like 80s sort of pop music. So I was like, oh, okay. So again, I had my keyboard. So I put this sort of electronic, sort of funky keyboard sound and sort of this cheesy little pop beat behind it. And then I improvised a whole song about her and her husband and all of the elements. Well, not all of the elements, because it's not like I remember everything they told me, but improvised a handful of lyrics. And on this one, which was really fun, is I actually started singing a chorus about the husband and wife that was very simple, and everybody in the audience started singing the chorus along with me. And so that was really fun. And then I went and I did another verse, and then we went back to the chorus. And then after the chorus, I sort of dropped the beat, and I did this sort of melodic, outro where I got a little sincere and, thanked them for having me, and then ended it by wishing the husband happy birthday with a big grand cadence and finale on the keyboard. Rousing round of applause. And so, yeah, I am very happy that it went well and that it's over. Man, there's something really fascinating about doing these shows, because I do get very apprehensive leading up to them. I mean, always. And there's just always this element of risk every time I do stand-up. And no matter how many times a show's gone well, there's never a guarantee that the next show's going to go well. And I've experienced that recently. I've talked about it a ton, but, I had that New Year's Eve show, and I thought that show was going to go well, and it just did not go well at all. So you just never know when one of those shows is just going to pop up and just completely bomb. And so there's always a hint of apprehension, and there's always a sense of relief for me after the show is over, and I can just breathe and go, thank God I did the show. I showed up. I gave it everything I had, and it went well. The audience was happy. They loved it. A lot of the people there, wanted my business card. Handed out a bunch of business cards, packed up, and now I'm back on the road to Yuma, Arizona to stay the night, and then I will be heading back to Phoenix tomorrow. So that is the update of your boy here, Paul Green, out here living his comedy dreams and having these experiences and all of the crazy that comes along with them. I hope all of you are having fun, crazy experiences, that you're pushing through whatever apprehension you may have to put yourself out there and to go for your dreams. And I hope it's going well. So that is all for Today it is, again, February 3rd, 2024, episode 66 of Paul Green Comedy PaulCast. I love you all so much. Goodbye.